Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into something I think we've all felt. That frustration when you're trying to fix some annoying health issue. Maybe it's fatigue, cracked lips, indigestion. You grab a quick pill and it just keeps coming back. It really feels like we're always treating the smoke, but we're completely ignoring the fire. So today, let's go find that fire. So why does this happen? It's this super frustrating cycle, isn't it? You see a problem, you take what you think is the right solution, and yet nothing really changes in the long run? Well, that question is really the whole point of our explainer today. We are going to peel back the layers and find out why these quick fixes so often fail and what's really going on under the hood. All right, first up, let's totally deconstruct this quick fix mentality. We're going to start with a really common and what seems like a simple health issue and look at how we usually react to it, because this right here is often where we take that first wrong turn and miss the real cause completely. Okay, let's take a classic example. You get those painful little cracks in the corners of your mouth. A quick Google search tells you it's probably a vitamin B2 deficiency. So the logical next step, you go buy a bottle of vitamin B2, simple, right? But here's the thing. That approach, while it seems logical on the surface, is missing the bigger picture entirely. See, here's the crucial piece of the puzzle. In nature, vitamins don't just float around by themselves, they exist in this beautiful, intricate complex. A true deficiency of just one single vitamin is actually pretty rare. So, those cracked lips, they aren't just a quiet little whisper that you're low on B2. No, they are giant flashing neon sign that your entire nutritional intake is probably out of whack. The real root cause isn't that you're missing a B2 pill. It's usually a diet that's heavy on ultra-processed foods, a lack of whole foods that are actually dense in nutrients, and maybe even poor gut health that's stopping you from absorbing all the good stuff you are eating. And that's exactly why fixing the underlying diet is so much more powerful than just trying to patch the problem with one nutrient. But okay, let's say you do decide to supplement. There's this whole other hidden layer we need to talk about. We just assume that the fix we're buying is, pure and helpful. But what if that very supplement is actually adding to the problem? So many of the mass market supplements out there are packed with cheap, undesirable fillers just to bulk them up. We're talking about things like calcium carbonate, which is literally powdered limestone, or synthetic vitamin forms that your body can barely even recognize and use, especially compared to the real deal from Whole Foods. So while you're trying to solve one problem, you could be accidentally adding to your body's overall toxic load. It's wild. Now let's zoom out a bit. We're moving from a single nutritional issue to something deeper, a systemic imbalance. This is where a problem in one single area of your body can set off this cascade of issues somewhere else entirely. Let's talk about H. pylori. A lot of people just think of it as a simple stomach bug that causes ulcers, but its whole mechanism is actually way more insidious than that. See, this bacteria is clever. It creates its own little alkaline bubble to survive in by producing ammonia, and that ammonia neutralizes your stomach acid, which you absolutely need for good digestion and absorbing nutrients. And this is where the domino effect kicks in. The infection messes with your stomach acid. That in turn impairs your digestion. But here's the truly shocking part, the third domino. It turns out this local little stomach infection can make your vitamin D receptors all over your body less sensitive. Just let that sink in for a second. You could be taking vitamin D, getting plenty of sunshine, and your blood tests could come back looking perfect. But because of this root cause issue happening in your gut, your cells can't properly hear the signal from vitamin D. The problem isn't your vitamin levels, it's your body's ability to even use the vitamin in the first place. Okay, here's another great example of a systemic breakdown, calcification in your arteries or heart valves. We tend to think of this as just a local problem with the valve, right? But it's actually a failure in traffic control. Think of it like this. Vitamin D3 is the absorber. It's great at pulling calcium into your bloodstream. But then you have vitamin K2, and K2 is the crucial traffic cop. Its job is to tell all that calcium where to go. So what do you think happens when that traffic cop is missing in action? Well, the calcium doesn't get guided into your bones and teeth where it belongs. Instead, it just gets dumped into your soft tissues, your arteries, your organs, your heart valves. So the calcification isn't the valve's fault. It's a breakdown of the body's entire calcium management system. And now we've arrived at what might just be the ultimate and probably the most overlooked root cause behind a huge range of modern health problems: chronic stress. This one goes beyond diet, it goes beyond infections, and it gets right to the heart of how our entire nervous system is functioning. Hey, does this sound familiar to you? You feel completely drained, like you have zero energy, but at the same time your mind is just racing and you cannot switch off. That tired but wired feeling, that is the classic calling card of a dysregulated stress response system. And look, this isn't something that just happens overnight, it's a progression. First, there's a stressor and it puts your body on high alert, but then if that stress just never goes away, your body stays stuck in that state of hyperactivation, and eventually after running on high for way too long, the system just starts to burn out, which leads to a state of adrenal exhaustion. And the symptoms of this exhaustion? They're all over the place. It isn't just feeling tired. It's that inability to relax, the sleep problems, being irritable all the time, feeling dizzy when you stand up, having zero tolerance for even tiny little stressors, and that classic brain fog. Do you see how many of these we often treat as totally separate, isolated issues? And this is the huge disconnect. We treat the fatigue with more coffee and the irritability, well, we just kind of try to muscle through it, but we're failing to see that these aren't the real problems. They are just the warning lights on your dashboard signaling that the entire alarm system, your body's stress response, is starting to break down. So what in the world do we do about all this? Well, we need a completely new framework for thinking about our health. One that shifts away from just chasing symptoms and starts addressing the foundational pillars that actually allow the body to heal itself. So here are some really actionable steps that target the root cause of that stress-induced breakdown. And I want you to notice something really important here. The first 4 are all about removing the stressors and creating an environment where you can recover. Sleep, actively reducing stress, getting out in nature, and limiting screen time. The nutrients, magnesium, vitamin D, B1, they're there to support your recovery, not to be the primary fix. And the hierarchy here is crystal clear. The biggest lever you can possibly pull is managing the source of the stress itself. Right behind that is improving your sleep quality. Nutrients are definitely important, but they're playing a supporting role. The key takeaway really is this: you cannot supplement your way out of a stressful life and a lack of sleep. It just doesn't work that way. So if you take one single thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. The next time you're facing a health issue, just pause for a second before you reach for that quick fix. Stop treating the symptom and train yourself to ask that incredibly powerful 3-letter question. Why? Why is this actually happening? So I'll just leave you with this question to mull over. That recurring headache you get, that fatigue that just won't go away, or that nagging skin issue, what if it isn't what you think it is? What if it's actually a clue pointing you towards something much, much deeper? Thanks for tuning in.